Good evening. Welcome to the Wyndham-Raymond School District Board of Directors meeting. Today is Wednesday, October 19th, 2022. The time is 6:30, and we are meeting in the Raymond Modular. May I have a roll call, please?
Kate Bricks.
Oh, do we do, right, here.
Jess Bridges.
Here.
Jenny Butler.
Here.
Jody Carroll.
Here.
Marge Gavoni.
Here.
Pete Hensler. Char Jewell.
Here.
Kate Levier.
Here.
Scott McLean.
Here.
Al Potter.
Here.
Will you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Just as a reminder to the board, Jessica is on Zoom, so we will not be raising our hands. It'll be a voice vote for everything. Mr. Superintendent, any adjustments to the agenda?
We do not have any adjustments to the agenda tonight.
Thank you. Any public input this evening?
Good evening. I'm Rebecca Cole. I teach first grade at Wyndham Primary School and I'm a resident of Wyndham, among various other things. And I'm just here tonight to again, thank everyone for a great opening of the school year. And Craig Hames and I also wanted to just let the board know that my classroom and the Katahdin program have initiated a partnership that we're hoping to grow through my PLC at Wyndham Primary, where we have some students from the Katahdin program and one of their counselors coming down weekly to assist in the classroom, but our dream is to also have them start doing some deeper work with the kids around SEL topics and do some adventuring with them. Already, just 2 weeks in, we have seen just so much joy and learning come out of this experience. When the students from Katahdin left last week, one of my little ones approached me with tears in their eyes and said, "Are they ever coming back?" And I said, "Yes, they'll be back next week." And she says, "Oh, good. I forgot to hug them goodbye." So it's just been, I mean, I have goosebumps. It's just been really magical. And so we're hoping to have a chance later in the year to update you on what that looks like, and hoping to grow maybe a little bit deeper. But thanks for your time and happy Wednesday. We made it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Superintendent's report.
Sure, so I have a couple brief things to share tonight. First of all, it's hard to believe that we're already more than halfway through October. And no pressure here, Al, but first quarter ends, I think, in roughly 2 weeks or so.
Yes, some of them crazy like that.
So things are moving forward. We're almost halfway through first trimester, and as Becca's just said, it's been a great start and opening to our school. It is a busy time of year right now. We have almost all of our teams right now getting ready to head off into playoffs, and the campus and travel is going to be quite busy over the upcoming weeks here. So just I want to say good luck to all of our teams as they head out and represent Wyndham High School. I think most of our middle school seasons now have pretty much been close to finishing up at this point. Also, the musical, which is Little Shop of Horrors, is due to open on Veterans Day, November 11th. And if you've never had a chance to go and attend one of the musicals, they are fantastic. This year will also include, what I haven't seen it yet, but a rented plant, which is a key character in Little Shop of Horrors. So
Straight from California.
Straight from California. I'm looking forward
Three sizes.
to seeing that. And also just want to point out, because this was an item that was in the news quite a bit last spring, which was the mandatory drinking water testing for schools in the state of Maine. RSU 14 was prepping to do our May samples, and we were told to stop because the state labs had been overrun and weren't actually able to keep up with the amount of samples that they were receiving. So we will be sampling over the next couple weeks, and part of that process involves flushing all the fixtures that need to be tested, so getting all the water out, bagging the fixtures so there's no use for 8 hours, get a chance to then refill, get a real sample of what's happening at that fixture, and then collecting samples. So October 22nd, Raymond Elementary School, and Manchester School, Jordan Small, the 29th, the stadium field house, the youth football building, the maintenance building, district office, and the treatment plant. Didn't realize there was drinkable water at the treatment plant, but we're going to be testing there. November 5th will be Wyndham High School, and November 11th, Wyndham Primary School and Wyndham Middle School, field down and adult ed. And all of our samples will be sent off, and then once those samples are going back, we will report back to the public the results of all of that. We have an interesting situation in our district where the buildings in Wyndham are all on Portland Water District, and the buildings in Raymond run their own wells, which we go through an exhaustive process and testing those yearly as it is. So we will update the public when that goes, but I know we've got a busy agenda for tonight, and that's all that I have in my superintendent's report.
Thank you very much. Board roundtable. Anyone have anything they would like to share this evening? Okay.
I wasn't here at the last meeting. I was traveling for work, but just wanted to share that I had attended the open house at Wyndham High School last month, and for a alum of Wyndham High School, it was rather bizarre to be in the building that extensively with all of the changes that had happened. It was interesting that I was able to go down halls and go, okay, wait a minute, that was, okay, yeah, that looks the same out the window, so that's what, anyway. So it was great to see all the teachers there volunteering their time to meet with parents and students. It was really valuable to meet with folks eyeball to eyeball, as I always say. It's nothing that can replace that. So I wanted to publicly thank the staff at Wyndham High School for doing that. It was great to finally be able to see people eyeball to eyeball. But I also want to just bring up, there's been a lot of attention given to the schools in the last year and a half, 2 years. Some good, some not. And there's a lot of passion for what happens with students and staff in the schools. And I think it's unfortunate that sometimes it devolved into inappropriate things, personal attacks and things like that. But I just would encourage the public, do not wait for a hot button topic to become involved with your community schools, not just RSU 14, but whatever your community school is. Stay abreast of what's going on. Our children are our future, and if we don't pay attention to what's going on day to day, then our future is lost, frankly. So I just want to encourage people to still pay attention, even if they don't have a hot button that's triggering them to pay attention these days. Thank you.
Yes.
I'm not sure who saw it on the news last night. I know the rest of the board, if you haven't had a chance to see it yet, I know Chris forwarded to everybody the primary school. The grandparent, I was going to say grandmother, but grandparent, because I could be a grandfather, program down there from Opportunity Alliance, and it was really pretty cool. And I think it's great that our schools have the opportunity. And it does happen in other schools, I do understand that, but it has a big impact on our schools, and I think it's great that it works that way. And it was really cool. It was really cool to watch, especially when you know the people in it.
Great. Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, we're going to go to committee reports. Finance, I know Pete's not here, but I think they met.
Yep, Finance met October 5th, so 2 weeks ago tonight, and had a chance to talk about budget process. Also had a chance to talk about the impact of free and reduced forms not being filled out. And it's actually one of the resolutions that the board will be looking at tonight for the main school board resolutions. And then also just talked about where we are in the state of finances for the current year, where we are with ESSER funds, and some of the plans moving forward with those. So Finance will be meeting again probably 1st of November, getting a preview of the audit, and then we'll also have a chance to look at budget process materials that are produced. So we spent our time discussing that.
Perfect. Thank you. Scott, anything for facilities?
I don't think for facilities. I think that we had discussed it the last time. And middle school construction, I'm going to defer to you, Chris, if you don't mind. I don't know if we had discussed that. Last meeting was at a board retreat, which unfortunately I wasn't able to make it to.
Right.
So I'm going to defer to you to
Sure.
discuss what was talked about.
Sure. So first of all, our next middle school construction meeting is on November 10th. Also, just remind the public that there is a clickable link off of our website where you can keep track of progress on where we are with the construction progress. Right now, the committee at their last meeting had an opportunity to look at kind of a first glance of where we are with some of the design structures of the building and some of the flow and what that might possibly look like. And specifically, the committee was looking at team areas and how team areas would be structured. And remember, this building is being designed around teams of students, kind of giving a neighborhood effect to making the school a little bit smaller. In addition, the school's site diagram as far as where things might be placed on the campus as we've reviewed. I know yesterday in my email, actually I think it was today in my email, I received 8 more concepts for site diagrams and what it might possibly look like. So we have the architects, the civil engineer, Bill and I have a meeting with the state construction office next Thursday. And then the next committee meeting's on the 10th. So things continue to move and we continue to be on target.
Chris, when you say you have 8 new designs, that's a lot. Will those be presented to the committee?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And then the committee will flesh out.
Yeah, and most of the differences in the designs were parking arrangements.
Oh, okay.
Looking at how to maximize parking. And for those of you who visited any of our campuses, actually doesn't matter what campus that you're on, first thing in the morning or in the afternoon at pickup. It doesn't matter if you're at Raymond Elementary, Jordan Small, Manchester High School, Middle School, it's difficult with traffic.
Right.
And
right.
so campus traffic for the new middle school campus is being very closely looked at to be as efficient as possible, to move and to queue as many cars and buses that can be done.
Good. We had lengthy discussion about parking, so I'm glad a lot of thought is being put
Right.
into it.
And we want to make sure that with events and other things that there's plenty of parking, accessible parking, so that, as the community, this is a community use building, to make sure that for those off-hour events that there's plenty of places that people can go and visit the school.
Perfect. Thank you. Policy met on Monday, and we talked about some important policies, family medical leave and family care leave. And we also reviewed a new policy that was a request of this board, which is standard operating procedures for board communication. So more in-depth detail, once those are on the agenda, will be discussed with you all. I know we have been talking about having animals in the school on our next meeting, but we have pushed it back to November 14th because they had testing on the original day. And testing takes precedence over animals in the school. So we are rescheduled for November 14th. And that's it for policy. Jess, you're behind the screen.
I'm doing it.
Oh, you're doing it. All right.
And we had a curriculum meeting on Monday. We heard from math and science teachers from every single building representing all grade levels, and it was very informative. We heard a lot of great things about what was going on, because that was one of the questions that were asked. Also asked what were some of the barriers and what resources they wish they had. And the saddest part is so many teachers are providing paying for their own resources. So that's definitely something that is a concern, all age groups, all schools. But a lot of great things are going on. Anyone who would like to be able to read more information about the curriculum committee, it's on our RSU website. So you can go to the RSU 14 website. There's a tab for departments. Under that, there's one for curriculum and assessment, and then curriculum committee after that. It took me a little while to find it. So just wanted to make sure everybody could figure out how to get there. So with discussing math and science this month, we have 2 different topics or departments at each of our next upcoming meetings. November meeting is health and PE, and you could find out more about which ones where and when on the website. So,
Perfect.
yeah.
Thank you. The website, I have to say, is pretty
That's why I said
great.
departments, curriculum assessment, curriculum committee.
Right. Very good. Thank you.
Yep.
Technology. Jody, anything?
Yes, so nothing since our last meeting. We did
Okay.
not meet since then. However, I wanted to note that there's a very large group of individuals across the district taking stakeholder feedback in multiple meetings throughout the week, just grabbing all the community organizations, stakeholders, and asking for input for a feature communication platform that they're evaluating. So that's eating up not only a lot of time, but they're really going through the process in a way that's going to be effective to create a piece of feedback to recommend the platform. And the idea would be that it would be used by parents and staff across the district. So it has to be a pretty diverse platform and have a lot of features. So they're grabbing as many as they can, and some of the people in this room have already been part of that. But so that's the work they're doing. We're going to meet on November the 7th next.
Perfect.
Yep.
Thank you.
Adult ed.
Adult ed.
We got an email, and I do not recall what it said. Do you?
The email is only trying to set up our next meeting.
Oh, that's right.
And he was
Thank you.
looking for dates, hopefully for this month. It didn't go into more than that. Of course,
Yeah.
I'm not going to be here, so my response was I won't be here, so let me know what happens. But that was all that was in that email, so
Yeah.
there is no definite date set up for adult ed yet.
So once it's been set up, we'll report.
I would love to hear about the vocational schools.
School. We had a meeting. So happy. We had 2 meetings, actually. We meet with PATHS, Portland Arts Technology High School, and WRVC, which is Westbrook Regional Vocational Center, on October 13th. First off, I'll give you what basically covers both of them, because we usually swap back and forth. One month we'll have it at PATHS, and they have one meeting, and then the next meeting is consecutively right after that. We used to travel from spot to spot, but we've smartened up. So presently what's going on, which was interesting, is that all of the CT centers in Maine, which is the career and technical education, have been involved in a plan for Maine to align with the local needs. So they are approaching the Alphon Center for funding a feasibility study to transform Region 10 Technical High School, which is in Brunswick, into an innovative 4-year full-service technical high school. This is in the early stages, so there's more to come. There was not a lot of discussion on it, but if anyone is interested, I did pick them up. So if somebody would like to read these, feel free to do it. This actually is just for the feasibility study at this point. And we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with that and what impact it has on the rest of the schools. The reports were that both schools have gotten off to a great start. Actually, they've done better than they have in the past few years. The kids have been great. They've adapted very well to being back there. There have been no issues, no behavior issues. Things are well. They're delighted because the MELMAC grant, which pays for trips for the students to go to visit colleges and possibly business locations to see where they might be interested in. And the MELMAC pays for those trips. So now that things have calmed down, they're able to go again. So that has helped a lot in all of the programs that they're running. Now the other thing is, and a lot of people are not aware of this, Westbrook Regional Vocational School is our first choice for students who want to go to technical school, and they can attend PATHS for a few reasons. So I've asked Chris if he could just go over this, how does it work? Because I know a lot of people don't realize how that works. It's kind of like, why can't my kid go to PATHS or blah, blah, blah. Chris?
Sure. So as far as sending schools go, if a program is offered at Westbrook, then that becomes our primary sending spot. So A great example might be a medical occupations program. It's offered at Westbrook. It's also offered at Portland. But since Westbrook is our primary spot, which actually means that we also have more slots there because we share with the 5 other school districts that send to that location, that becomes our primary spot. If we have a program such as welding, and welding is a very, no pun intended, very hot ticket item.
He was dying to say.
Welding is only offered in Portland, and so our kids have to compete with the other 15 sending districts that send to Portland. Similarly, auto body, which there's an automotive program at Westbrook, but there's not an auto body program. So if a student wants to do auto body repair and they want to go to Portland, they're competing with other kids to do that program. Same thing with recreational marine repair, the HVAC program. If it's offered in Westbrook, that's their primary place to go. But if it's not offered there, then our kids can go over to Portland. So the bus, when it leaves the high school each day, goes to both schools. We have kids that go to both and have been quite successful with that. One thing that, I'm not sure, Marge, if you're going to include this in the report, one thing that we did push at a little bit at our meeting, and I think we got some other districts, so maybe you're going to...
coming up.
Okay, I'll let you do that then.
Okay. Okay, now the other thing is what they call is a vision plan. They've been working, and this is not that. They've been working on a vision plan, or will be, which would expand the opportunities for middle school and earlier in high school for kids to attend. Okay, well, the thing is with Paths and with Westbrook, it's not looking good to be able to do this at that point in time due to lack of space and funding. They did look at it. In fact, Paths was even going to broaden their welding, that hot topic, their welding program, which they felt they had looked at it, and due to electrical reasons, which Chris is going to talk to them about that, he has another idea, they're not able to bring more electricity into the building. There are some things, and everything that involves the pull of electricity is all on one side of their building. I mean, if you go in there, all of the marine, all the welding, all the machining, everything is done in one building. And all of, I would call this more the soft skills, the biomedical, the dance, the bands, the other stuff are in the other portion of the building. So they felt that is constraints. So our illustrious superintendent suggested a possible third session at the school rather than trying to fit more classes into a building that really can't accommodate them. Why not a third session at the school? Schools there presently end at 1:30, so it seems that that would be a really good option for some kids because if the school ends at 1:30, that means everybody would be out of the building by the time any of our students or any of the other school students would go over there. Everybody knows there'd be a lot of things to talk about. First off, who would be interested in it? Secondly, how would you staff it? And the other thing they talked about was transportation. I don't know if you have more on that, Chris.
No, I think the part that I shared at the meeting, which is that at Wyndham High School, I ran across a number of kids that loved Wyndham High School, didn't want to leave for half the day for a vocational experience, but would have accessed a vocational experience if they could have had their whole day at Wyndham High School. They weren't involved in activities, they weren't involved in a sport, they weren't involved in an extracurricular, and they would have gone to a session of Paths for a program. So can we look at some programs such as welding that is hard to get into, or even the electrical program, can we look at those as a third session program, start small with a couple pilots, which would then allow our kids to access. And I know that there are kids out there that would love to learn to weld or do other things, but still want to pursue a traditional college prep or honors program at their high school, and would look at this as an opportunity. So I think it was something we agreed that we discussed. There might be some budgetary things, but with 16 districts chipping in to possibly hire someone for afternoon sessions becomes a reasonable cost, and I think it explores and brings out some additional opportunities for our kids. So it is something we're going to take a look at, and we'll continue to push because, again, I do think there's some kids that would access it and would take advantage.
Yeah, so we'll keep you updated as to, go ahead, Kate.
I just have a question about the welding because it seems like that's really popular. Is the reason why whoever, don't have it in Westbrook is just simply space?
Space and the building wasn't set up for the program and currently does not have the space for the program. It would require a separate addition
So
put
your
onto the building.
solution would really open up doors for a
Yeah.
lot of kiddos.
Yep.
I like it.
Yeah, I think what we found out, well, early on, when I started going down there, is the fact that they don't try to compete. The two schools do not try to compete. There's very few programs that they run that are similar. Some of them are similar, but not quite. It'll be a different piece of it. Like one would be auto body, and the other one would be mechanical piece of it. So it's kind of like you either fix the outside of the car, you know, the bodywork or whatever, or you fix the motor. So they've tried to, and they want to make it as broad for the kids too, because not everybody wants to do that particular thing. So that gave them the opportunity to be able to offer kids a broader range. So if it's not offered at Westbrook, which is, as Chris said, is our regular, the school we first go to, they always have the option of applying for or getting on a list, because that's another formula Chris can go through as to how they figure out how many slots do you get, and I think it's your 2 years, it's the previous 2 years of what you send there. Anyway, it's a very complex thing. Maybe at some point in time, we could possibly think about bringing the folks from Westbrook and from PATHS in to do a presentation. Probably at the same time would be great, because then we can kind of bounce back and
We've
forth.
done it before, yeah.
Yeah, so if we could do that, that would be good. It's been a while
Yeah, yeah.
since we've had them. Okay, now, PATHS, if we go just to PATHS, there are presently 111 students at PATHS who are dual enrolled at MCC. So, that's important. That's important because a lot of people think, okay, I want my kids to go to college. I don't want them to go to a trade school, etc. There are a multitude of students who are going to both of these schools because I've gone to their graduations, and it's kind of like they've gotten scholarships or whatever, and they're going to different colleges all over the United States, everywhere. So that opportunity is there for students to go beyond what they're basically doing there. So it's great to have that available. In fact, the representative from Maine Community College has been at the last couple of meetings that we've gone to there, in case anybody had questions on that. As of October, there are 436 students attending PATHS total. 69% are males, 31% are females, and 30% of them have IEPs, which basically states because your child or your student has an IEP does not mean they can't go to a technical school, because they can. They can. They work very closely with the guidance counselors and the sending school to make sure that those IEPs are met. In fact, they request that the IEP gets sent to them so they can make sure that they're meeting the student's IEP. Westbrook Regional has presently, they had a program before, social service program. It was in they coordinated that with Woodford's, and they originally put the program in there because Woodford's down in Portland, I think it's in Portland, had requested, the program and said they supply the curriculum and they supplied the instructor, and it was basically to give a start into social service work, because there is a shortage of individuals doing that out there. So they were willing to come in and they would teach that program. Well, what has happened is the employee who was doing that work at Westbrook has moved on to a different job. And then, so it had to be suspended for this year because their curriculum is proprietary. It was theirs and theirs alone. So that's kind of like sitting to the side for the moment. There are no first-year students allowed to drive at Westbrook for multiple reasons. One is, if you've ever been, there is no parking, for one thing. And more important, they're more concerned that the students might not ever show up. Sometimes, it's their first year going and they get a little, there's a little bit of freedom felt there, and you don't necessarily show up on time. And so taking that out of the equation, they ask that first-year students ride the bus till so they become familiar with the program and what the responsibility is of being where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there. As an adult, getting there. They have 342 students who attend Westbrook Regional Vocational, and the breakdown is similar, but they don't put it out the same. And it's really kind of funny because they have 60.2 males and 39.8 females, which I thought was pretty interesting considering that it was pretty close for both. The percentage was pretty close for both schools, and they're not even like near each other. Wyndham has, and I do have the breakdown for Westbrook, we have 68 total students who attend there. 44 are males, 24 are females, and Wyndham students right now make up 19.88% of the total number of students at Westbrook. Now, those were my minutes. When I get the minutes, they formally do send out minutes, and as usual, that's usually what I send you. But they've been very slow, that's why I did the minutes this time. They never happen to me on time. So when I get them, I will forward them to everybody so you can see the full minutes. So that is it.
So, Marge, I'd say that everything that you and Chris had to say is all the more reason that RSU 14 needs their own tech school.
Well, that would probably be another conversation, because I think we need to have them come and explain the complexity of a technical school, and they come under a different guidance of what happens there versus what happens in your traditional educational high school, etc. There's a lot of differences. I mean, I'm not saying no, yes, or anything. But
No, I think part of it would require some
There's a
special
lot.
legislation because the vocational
It's a lot.
regions are defined in statute.
Yeah, they are.
But I think it would be an interesting conversation to see
Yeah.
how can satellite programs, and that was actually one of the other discussions, is
Yep.
how do we build satellite programs, much like what Region 10 is looking to do, which is there are kids who would definitely benefit from 4 years of a vocational program and would be quite successful, and if it meant that we lost 5 students from the district, but they found their success in a program, I'm good with that. I'm good with that, and that would give another opportunity for kids, another pathway for those who would thrive at that. So I'm interested to see if that conversation comes to our region, but I'm also interested in satellite things that we can do at our high school and our middle schools, or middle school moving forward, that can help with that pipeline, some hands-on things for kids, because there are so many opportunities right now that we're not turning out enough students for.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
I have a whole bunch of stuff.
Excellent.
It's been a little while. So first off, I think a couple weeks ago, it was like 3 weeks ago, we had Homecoming and Spirit Week. And I think for like the first time in like maybe like 3 or 4 years, the seniors actually won.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's pretty exciting. I think last year the last year the freshmen won. So that was discouraging completely. Senior breakfast was I think last week or maybe the week before at Keeley's. That was really great. They did kind of have some food problems, but otherwise it was really great to have that back. Last week, Student Council hosted a ice cream social fundraiser for staff at the high school, and we raised, I think, $156, something like that. So we're working a lot with Student Council to raise more money and do more stuff this year. So that's super cool. Quiz Bowl stuff. I think 4 or 5 weeks ago, we had a tournament at Gould Academy, and we came in second place.
Ooh, lovely.
And then last weekend, the Saturday, we had a tournament at in New Hampshire, in Plymouth, New Hampshire. We came in 7th overall. And Greta, who's here, both of those tournaments, she was a book award winner. I think that was one of the top 10 players in both of those tournaments. So that's super
Wow.
cool.
Bravo.
And finally, in a couple weeks, there's going to be a craft fair at the high school, and I know a lot of classes and student council host booths there, so make sure to check that out. And from the seniors, make sure to buy their cookies. Definitely great cookies. That's what I got for you.
Al, for student council,
Yes.
we're really interested in meeting.
Oh yeah, sure.
Lunch. Okay.
I will make sure I bring that up.
Would you
Oh,
please?
yes,
Because we're very,
absolutely.
very interested in having a monthly meet and greet.
Sure.
Hear what you all have to say.
I will bring it up next meeting.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to move on to item 10, and I'm pretty excited to welcome Lorraine Glowski, Director of Community Connections, and Vanessa Mishu is here as well, and they are going to talk about some exciting opportunities for our students.
Thank you.
And Vanessa is assistant principal at the high school. I should say that. Just waiting to get
And we
hooked up.
have two students here with us tonight as well that will speak about their experiences.
Oh,
So
wonderful.
we'll invite them to join us in a couple minutes as well.
Okay. Love having students.
Thanks, Graham.
That's not the right one, is it? Nope.
Jess, I'm going to slide you towards the podium. There's a copy of this presentation in your packet.
I clicked the wrong button here. I think I'm gonna have to click through it. I don't know why it's doing that, but we'll go with that. All right, well, do you want to start off?
Well, let's just go ahead, should we go ahead and go
Sure.
to the next slide? Just so that, okay. Again, my name is Lorraine Glozak. Sorry.
I
All right.
definitely didn't
Sorry.
say that right. Uh-oh.
My name is Lorraine Glozak, and I am the Director of Community Connections for the whole school district. But I also am the Extended Learning Opportunities Coordinator for the high school. And I'm also, I assist the seniors in their capstone projects, and I will give you a little bit of that information after this presentation.
So as you said, Vanessa Mishu, one of the assistant principals at the high school, and I'm very thankful for Lorraine kind of taking on this as an opportunity for our students. We had some conversation at the end of last year, really starting to look at this program. There are other schools that are doing this as well. There's a big involvement with JMG also, and our staff has taken part in some training. So Lorraine and I connected, I think it was in June. There was a grant opportunity, and she's like, should we? And I'm like, ooh, yes. And she helped make that happen. So I'm very thankful to the groundwork and the energy and the effort that she has really put forward in helping bring our committee that we have working on this at the high school together, as well as we did get some grant funding to help support this work. So we'll talk about that a little bit later in the presentation as well. And then we do have two students joining us tonight as well. And we'll give them an opportunity to speak about their experiences. So we have Greta Paulding and Masha Yurkovich, who have both had an opportunity to take part in an ELO experience.
Okay, so what are extended learning opportunities? They are hands-on courses outside the traditional classroom setting with an emphasis on community-based career exploration. And there's a couple of things I'd like to point out here in the first bullet point. At the present time, the students are offered 0.5 elective credits, but as we roll out and make this learn from our experience, we are going to also we're looking at potentially offering content credit as well in the future. And I would like to point out the community-based career exploration. This is an opportunity for the students to reach out into the community and find experts in the fields that they're interested in the careers that they want to explore. And they can do this in a multiple of ways. It can be job shadows, it can be internships, it can be apprenticeships and volunteer opportunities. Those are multiple of ways that they can get this non-traditional education. And since I want to add to this, since we were talking, or you guys were just talking about the CTEs and PATHs and VOC, for those students who aren't necessarily selected or aren't able to go to these programs, an ELO is a perfect alternative, an opportunity that they can develop themselves. So they are ELOs are also highly personalized opportunities that connects their learning to everyday life in relevant and meaningful ways. And this is an example of the soft skills that that aren't necessarily taught in the walls. For example, some examples that I can think of right now is like face-to-face networking, how to interview, things like you shake the interviewer's hand before and after the interview, those kinds of things that you apply into real life. And ELOs are also a unique mix of academic instruction, developing relationships within the community, and these relationships can offer resources, they can be references for future job opportunities, and also these relationships can connect them to other people that may help them in the future. Okay, these are just a few examples of what ELOs can consist of: plumbing, wildlife photography, farming, carpentry. Presently, what some of the students are experiencing right now, or as ELOs, are publishing and filmmaking and architectural engineering. And we have one student who has interviewed and has accepted an internship with Sabre Yachts because he wants to see if his skills and interest in electricity can be used in boat building, and if so, they might work out something, and this will be a job that he will have after graduation, and he's a senior. So those are examples of ELOs. Okay, I'll let you take it from here.
So when we started talking about this, we really looked at, what is our school philosophy and how are we making sure that we are meeting the needs of students. So we went back to policy and what can we do and how can we incorporate this into what already exists within our opportunities for students. So this ELO, extended learning opportunity, really does connect with our graduation policy in regards to the multiple pathways for students. So really expanding those learning opportunities, helping to encourage the student interest that we have. Instead of saying, no, we don't have a class that does that, hey, let's find something that we can do that allows you the opportunity to learn more beyond just the traditional high school walls. So really does look at that multiple learning options. Looking at earning credit, again, right now we are focused on the elective credit, but really trying to broaden those learning experiences outside of school as well. Same with the strategic plan. We really felt that looking at our new strategic plan, this really helped to guide our high school into kind of the next steps of how we are achieving the multiple pathways for graduation, but engaging with the community, creating partnerships, creating diverse programs that tap into our student interests, and really looking at those pathways that students can explore. We had a lot of conversation around, what grade level can a student do this? And it is open to any students in grade 9 through 12. So when we look at the students that can access vocational programs in grade 9 or 10, it allows another pathway, if there is something they're interested in, to start exploring that, possibly before some of those opportunities open up as well. And so this is kind of the diagram that we've been using with our staff as we've talked about this, as well as with students when we think about multiple pathways at Windham High School. This is all kind of under the realm of an independent study. So through an independent study, a student can be enrolled in college classes, virtual high school opportunities, independent studies with a specific teacher at Windham High School or a specific staff member. And then the other kind of branch of this that we're adding is the extended learning opportunity piece, which again kind of ties in more to that student interest, but also more to that community-based component. So for us, this was kind of the key factor, is how is this benefiting our students? And really looking at how are we tying into the student interests, the experience, the needs and skills that they need. How are we expanding the opportunity for all of our students, grades 9 through 12, and really looking again at helping with those workplace career development skills before they leave Windham High School.
Sure. I would like to say here that now that ELOs are, because of the grant that was offered, there are new ELOs happening throughout the state in a lot of different high schools. And I have to say that there's a lot of new ELO coordinators out there who are kind of like taking this and doing it on their own in their own school district. But I feel very fortunate as a coordinator that I have this awesome group of individuals who have the knowledge and background and the professionalism to guide me along the way, and they have intensely. And I don't think I could be the coordinator that I am without their assistance and support. And I want to give a big kudos to all these individuals that are listed here. So thank you. Thank you. And thank you. So about the ELO grant. It was early spring when JMG and the Maine Department of Education officially announced that they were going to use the COVID relief funds that were available and roll out an opportunity for these extended learning opportunities throughout the state of Maine. They did a lot of research, and New Hampshire had been doing this for quite some time and found that it was very successful. And so they offered grant opportunities for the school districts throughout the state of Maine. And so with the help of the committee, I requested from the grant $132,800, and we were awarded that amount, and that's through the 2-year period. And as you can see, this funding supports stipends and wages for unpaid internships, administrative costs like DocuSign and paper, pencils, and stuff like that, travel and training outside of the school day, and also personnel reimbursements for content specialists who can eventually, especially those, in math, science, and music and all. So it helps with the reimbursement for taking time out of their normal work schedule to help implement the ELO program. Okay, so there's the process goes something like this. The student inquires and fills out an application, and then from there I submit it to the ELO committee. We take a look at it, approve it, and then they work with me, and together, depending on what they want to learn and where they want to possibly volunteer or have an internship, we design a syllabus, and I base that syllabus off of the 21st century standards. And after we do that, we have it approved by Ryan Karen, the principal, and the counselors also take a look at the syllabus and before it's officially approved. And then together we reach out to a community partner and see if they would be willing to work with us. We go through that process. I create a memorandum of understanding so that between the student, the school, and the community partner, so that we're all on this same board and make sure that we each person knows what the expectations are. And then the project begins. And so I check in, and the student and I check in on a weekly basis, and just to see how things are going. We do a little bit of reflections, and then I also check in with the community partner to make sure everything is going well, if there's anything that needs to be improved, and just to keep a good relationship so that we can continue having this partnership with them. And then and I do that about 3 or 4 times throughout the semester. And then at the end, the students will have a reflection based on individual research and the experience they have with their community contact. And then they present a final product and a presentation to the ELO committee. And then you can
So as we said, as we're starting to pilot this program, and the students you'll hear from were kind of our initial pilot, so we appreciate your help with that. We are focused right now on just elective credits. It is a semester course. A student can do more than one. We haven't really talked about, like, there's no limit. Again, they're earning elective credits, so there's still the core graduation areas. It is graded on a pass-fail basis. And again, they can complete as many as they're interested in. It would be, I would say we're limiting it to 1 at a time, but if they start looking into something semester 1 and they want to continue it, they could revise their syllabus and what they're learning more about and continue on in that. Or if they wanted to change pathways and look into something else, that would be an option as well. We're not awarding any core content area credits just yet. This is a goal that we're hoping to explore, but we want to make sure as we explore that pathway that we're connecting with our curriculum guides and standards and making sure that we're meeting all of the academic expectations if we do look at the core credit areas.
I have actually spoken to a number of people in the Windham and Raymond area and beyond who have already agreed that, like, if there's a student who wants to work with them, they're willing to do that either through job shadows, paid internships. But the community partners that we are working with or have worked with include the following that you see there: the Windham Eagle newspaper, the Town of Windham, Sabre Yachts, Delano Architecture, Fluky Fiction, which is out of Rockland, and then Voices of Hope. Just briefly, that is a program, storytelling program that focuses on people who are going through recovery. And the individual who is doing filmmaking as his ELO, he is going to be helping out with a production that will go out in February and will be produced on Maine Public television. So there's some pretty exciting things that are happening here. All right, well, so we have the students that want to come up, and you want to... Thank you for coming. This is Greta Paldy.
Welcome, Greta.
Hello, everyone. All right. Kind of short, so I gotta try and fix this. All right. I just want to start off by saying thank you to Ms. Glozak, because none of this would have happened if not for her. I went to her and I said, I need some help. This is a crazy idea. It's never going to work. And she came back to me 3 days later and said, I think I got you a job. And I was like, what? Yeah, thank you. I don't know how you do it. All right. I am passionate about infrastructure. I care deeply about the way we design our town, the way our systems impact everyone around us. I first developed an interest in civil engineering and design 3 years ago after seeing the differences between European and North American streets. To get information for a self-directed statistics project that got a bit out of hand, I once called the city of Amsterdam to learn more about their bike paths and later realized that my lack of overseas coverage had inadvertently created a $100 phone bill. My passion for infrastructure gave me plenty to talk about. Apologies to my family and friends. But I didn't have a real way to contribute until Ms. Glozak suggested I do an extended learning opportunity with the Town of Windham. 4 months have passed since I began working for the Town of Windham and the Windham Economic Development Corporation. It is an exciting time to live in our town. Our main project, installing a state-of-the-art sewer system in North Windham, is finally getting underway and will open up many opportunities for economic development in Windham. I'm so grateful to be able to contribute by creating spreadsheets, searching for valuable files, and participating in site walks. My coworkers, particularly my boss, Tom Bartel, have been incredible both in their constant support and continuing patience as I navigate a world that is completely foreign to me. This internship has not only helped me continue my interest in town planning, it also gave me the unique opportunity to appreciate the people of this town. Currently, my main job is to look through the town files on every business in our study area in search of septic information. That's 115 parcels. To some, that might sound tedious, but behind each permit and notice and letter of complaint, there's a person with a story, and I love a good story. When you're looking at a town from a civil engineering standpoint, looking at its roads and bridges and buildings, it's easy to turn people into statistics. In some ways we must, but a good town planner knows that they are designing for real people who need to get to real places safely and efficiently. That is the key to any good design. When I started this job, I wanted to be a civil engineer. That career path still interests me, but I realized that the in-depth engineering side of things, the math and physics of a project, are less interesting to me than the big picture. Don't get me wrong, we certainly need math and physics, but I'd rather focus on the human impact. Going forward, I think civil architecture, which focuses more on the design of buildings rather than the intricacies and math of traditional engineering, will be a better career choice for me. Without this ELO, I would never have been able to experience what working in my chosen field is actually like. The knowledge I gained helped me to sharpen my view of my future and set my sights on a career I can use to make a difference in my town and beyond. Thank you.
Wow.
I
This was from Tom Bartel, and he actually, I don't know if you guys received, did they receive the, I don't know, I'll send it to you, but he wrote a 2-page reference letter. You guys got that? Okay. So I just want to say Greta's enthusiasm and excitement for learning and experiencing new things was and continues to be refreshing and provided a breath of fresh air to the work our team is engaged in. We have been so impressed with Greta that we have asked her that we have asked that she stay on part-time during the school year. Having Greta on board for the past several months has been a blessing to our team and an incredible value to the work we are doing both here at the Windham Economic Development Corporation and the town of Windham. Tom Bartel. And now another amazing student, Marcia Yurkovich.
Well, good evening. I'm sure it's no secret to anybody that writing is probably the mostly used medium across anything. So the writing field has a lot of opportunities. Possibilities are literally just about endless. And as a senior in high school, I really don't know what I want to go into too much. But after having a meeting randomly, kind of like Greta said, with Ms. Glozak, she kind of talked about what am I interested in, what do I like to do? And she suggested maybe I should see what it's like to be a journalist. And thus I became an intern for the Windham Eagle. And this was as of April of this year of 2022. And after some time, I became a staff writer. Now, again, if it were not for my ELO, the chances that I would have discovered my love and potential for journalism would have been very, very little. And I do have a lot to learn, but I have discovered something I love to do, something I can potentially go really far into. And having a strong understanding in journalism, but especially writing in any aspect, will help me go in my life, whether it's something I'm going to go deeply into or not. Like, whatever you decide to go into, writing is always something that will continue to be used. And after seeing my success in this hands-on learning opportunity with this ELO for the Windham Eagle, I recently started another ELO with Fluky Fiction LLC, which specializes in book publishing, editing, ghostwriting, more things that have to do with writing, but they have opportunities for really just about a lot of things, technology-wise as well. And after a quick Google Meets with Fluky Fiction owner, as well as now my community mentor, Kara Flannery, I started an internship. Now, while my internship will focus on writing, editing, and other miscellaneous writing work, I just started it, but I'm very curious to see how far it will get me and where it will lead me. Again, huge thank you because it was all very random, and I do wish that I would have started or known about this earlier because, I mean, as a senior, now I not worry, but I think about a lot. What the heck am I going to do after? I don't want to say I need to get my life together, but it's definitely something I need to do. So I cannot wait to see where it will bring me. Thank you.
And I want to do the same thing for her. Ed Pierce was the community mentor for her, and he is the editor of the Windham Eagle. And he says, it was nice to have Masha as a writing intern this past spring, contributing to our community-based newspaper. I was very impressed with her professionalism as an intern, and as a result, offered her a position as a contributing freelance writer. She continues to do great work and has demonstrated remarkable improvement over the past couple of months. I appreciate what she does for the newspaper, and I'm grateful for her assistance. So.
Wow, bravo.
Okay, any questions?
I have a question. First of all, I'm a little gobsmacked by you two and your enthusiasm and just the opportunity that you've had, and it's just so inspiring, and it's probably one of the highlights of presentations from students that I've heard, so thank you. How do students, I mean, these two women are go-getters, obviously. How do students find out about this, other than, this sounded kind of random?
So we hadn't really started it yet when they started. So they were truly our
Okay.
It was, we wanted to do this.
So we were building the plane as we were flying.
Yes.
And they just jumped on,
And they truly
right?
helped us to take off. Like, they truly helped us to figure out that, hey, this is something we want to do. How are we going to make this happen?
Right.
So a big thank you to them for being the groundbreakers, and for Lorraine for really helping make this happen as the committee was planning behind them. So what we did this fall is counselors, as they met with students during Ad Drop, we put out information on Google Classroom, which each
Okay.
graduation year has a Google Classroom. We put out information, I believe, on announcements, as well as counselors were talking with students if they had space in their schedule. And I know a lot of students we've sent to Lorraine if there's something they're interested in, or if they didn't get into a vocational program, counselors really kind of took the lead on helping to gauge that interest. So that's something we're still working with, and hoping to continue to kind of grow as we move forward. So with our grant, we have a goal set of students, and so we're looking at like starting with, I think, 5 this fall, 5 in the spring, maybe 5 over the summer. That's another component to this, is it's something that will be happening throughout the summer as well, with the help of Lorraine and her position. So really looking at opportunities not just within the school year, but in the summertime as well for students. So working on our communication as much as we can, and I'm hoping as we approach second semester, we'll have a little bit more now that we have everything kind of fully in place, a little bit better and running. So,
Do you have a capacity of how many?
Great question.
Yeah.
I think we'll know more probably once we're able to reflect on this first semester with the
Yep.
students that we have. And that's part of having the committee for support, and I think the grant will really support that as well. It's time for that committee to meet, reflect on the process, how it's working, and help to maybe project what our future needs might be as well.
This is very exciting.
We're very excited about it. It's just, it's
Very
nice to
exciting.
see students having fun learning something that we
Right.
necessarily can't offer within the normal structures of our classroom setting. So
I think we're so fortunate to have you, Lorraine, at the helm of this, because I know you have a lot of community connections. But I think your outreach has really made a difference for this program, and I can only see success going forward, so thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Yep.
I just wanted to say bravo to you two young ladies. That was really impressive. You make me proud to serve the community and to see what you two have accomplished. Really gives us a lot of hope. And I also wanted to say thank you very much to Lorraine as well. I remember when you initially came to this district and you came for a completely different position, and that completely fell flat, and we were able to create this new hybrid position, and I am really fortunate that we were able to create that, and for you to stay on, and I hope that you continue to stay with the district, because what you're providing for these students is invaluable. And as Vanessa had said, it's not something that we can necessarily provide within our buildings, but the community outreach is imperative. So thank you very much.
Anybody else? Yep.
I just wanted to go back to what the possibility could be in the future for the younger grades. I love that you put up the strategic plan numbers there, that 3, 5, 6. I think we were talking earlier about just focusing on 1, 2, 3. I love that you're getting into this, the 5 and 6 piece of this, and it's exciting to me to think, and I think it goes back to what we talked about at our retreat about experiential programming and some of the things in 23. I would love to hear about how it could connect or move back into the younger grades with that same visioning and that same goal structure. I can see that. I'd
I
be
agree.
interested to hear about that as well.
Well, I will say that it is kind of a goal. I mean, there's already talks with a middle school principal about maybe, we have to do this slowly so that we can do it well, but it can definitely move into that, yes.
I'm really appreciative, Lorraine, that you touched base, I think you said 5 or 6 times during the course of it, because the partnerships that partnerships that y'all have fostered, it becomes the face of the district, how we handle this program, and the follow-through and the support. And I think it's invaluable that you are maintaining positive, because we can go back to some of these folks that after you all become highly successful doing whatever it is you do, potentially come back to these partners again and again. And so we want to maintain. And I just think it's really great PR too, that members of our community are becoming more aware of our students and education and our students' future. And for Greta, working in the town, how our students can contribute to our own local communities. So this is just like a win-win. I mean, multiple pathways. We hear that a lot, but this is really amazing. So I'm gushing here, but
I would say do not make sure you save this presentation, because I can see you taking this show on the road. I personally have already mentioned this to some folks, so I'm hoping they reach out, because this needs to, it's great. You guys are doing a great job. And it could easily be replicated across the state. So.
yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Both
Thank
of you
you.
for coming this evening. So excited.
So I will just briefly go over the capstone.
Oh,
project.
capstone, yes, yeah. Forgot about that.
This will only be a few, I mean, I won't go over 5 minutes here, so it'll go quickly. But just really briefly, let me get, let's see. Did you want me to? No, I got it, I think. Let's see.
Do we need to get a kid up there again?
Yes. Okay, so just really briefly, for those of you who may not know, or when the senior capstone projects became implemented, the senior capstone is an opportunity for students to, actually this is quite like an ELO, except maybe slightly different, but it's an opportunity for students to independently design, implement, and exhibit their learning on something that they are really passionate about. It stresses making connection with the local community and using those as learning experiences outside the walls of the school. And in the end, the students present their project in front of a panel of educators, or they can choose to do it at the Capstone Fair, which is always the last Friday of April. So there's a couple of ways that they can do that presentation. But there's a number of reasons from I understand that there's a number of reasons for the capstone project, and one of those major reasons is to prove that students are able to be creative and practical problem solvers, clear and effective communicators, and responsible and involved citizens, because there is a community service component that goes along with this project. So first, just to really briefly, they first have to come up with their capstone topic, and they fill out a proposal form, which I approve. They share it with me, and I approve. And it comes with an essential question. So for example, an example I'm going to use here that you got the packet information. Like for instance, there's the organic farming, and yes, that's something that sparks them. They want to do it. It's going to be so much fun, but you have to kind of narrow it down into an essential question so that it's a researchable question, but it's not so easy to answer that you could just like how much does an organic farmer make? You can Google that, but the question is developed so that there's got to be some research, talking to mentors. For example, if it's an organic farm, the question would be something like, how is an organic farm run, and is it economically viable option for the small-scale farmer? So that's an example, and then after they fill out the the proposal, which includes, identifying a community contact, and if they don't have anybody in mind or they don't know where to begin, I help them with that. I'll reach out to somebody. I have a network myself of people who do this kind of thing. So if I don't know anybody, I can reach out to a network of people, and they say yes. I always am able to find someone through that, and then I will reach out to that community partner, ask if they're willing to work with our student, no one's ever said no. So I connect the student with that community partner, and from there they will interview that individual, and other research plans as the traditional, where you go to the library and the librarians help you with a database of information. There's also other ways like job shadowing. Is a possibility for a research. There's 30 hours of research that are required. There's also, you can do podcasts, you can watch documentaries, you can watch films. For example, in 2010, I don't know if you remember the documentary Bag It, that inspired a lot of people to get rid of plastic bags because of that documentary. And that's an inspiration and a learnable lesson or a teachable lesson. So that's included as research as well. And then they identify what they want to do as their community service. It's through volunteering. Usually it's closely related to their subject, 9 times out of 10. And then eventually they present. And they have to also write 2 reflection papers and then provide an annotative bibliography. And we provide suggested deadlines, like just little bite size, so they're not feeling overwhelmed. So every month I give them through their Google Classroom and emails, the next suggested step, and they're totally free to wait until April 1st if they want, but we never recommend that. But this gives them an opportunity to be independent and self-reliant. So that's another learning experience through the Capstone Project is I can give suggestions, but they get to make that final. If they want to be stressed at the end of the school year, they get to, that's their learning experience. So that's really Capstone Project. Oh, I can give you a list of do you want a list of a few things that are happening?
Sure.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So what's really interesting this year is that mental health is a major focus for the students this year, and they're combining it like how does baseball contribute to mental health? How does art? How does nature? How does creative writing? How does mountain biking? Those are 5 that are related to mental health and how it can help with your mental health well-being. But a few others are victim advocacy, farming, guitar making. Yeah. Not to give who that is away. Food insecurity, cheese, crocheting, and then another interesting one is this individual. Most of you know about how milfoil is not good for the local lakes, and this person is trying to find a way to convert milfoil into a biofuel. So yeah, isn't that neat? So pretty amazing, creative, and innovative students. So that's it for capstones. Do you have any questions?
I'll just add one thing. Capstone is a graduation requirement.
Oh yes, there's that too.
Sorry, I hate to be the downer here, but under policy IKF for the graduation policy, it is a component. Capstone took the place of just the straight community service. Probably, I think it went into policy maybe 15 or 16. And it's been interesting to see even the project kind of evolve over time as students have had a chance to see other students' capstone projects, and the complexity seems to just grow year after year after year. And I think kids even start thinking of our students, not kids anymore. Students start thinking earlier on what possibly their capstone might be, and have really embraced it as an opportunity to learn more about something they're interested in prior to heading off to school and possibly investing a huge amount of money in something they're not interested in.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
I would invite you to come to the Capstone Fair. We can share the specific time once we have it scheduled, but it's quite an experience. My favorite moment last year was a student that was absolutely petrified to be presenting and was like sweating before, like it is like a science fair type style, and at the end they're like, wow, that was actually kind of fun.
Yeah.
So a good experience for them to have even that type of experience, interacting with other students and staff, and we'd love to have you join us there as well. And Chris, we have a group that's been meeting with Capstone too to look at that and how we can maybe introduce that even a little bit earlier and help get students kind of looking at that maybe starting freshman, sophomore year, just as that interest component as well.
I do already have some juniors coming to me, so yeah.
Wow. Well, I can just say that you're the awesome duo here. Pretty impressive, so thank you both so much on behalf of the board and all of our students. Appreciate it. Thank you to both of you too for coming on a school night. Okay, that's got me excited. Let's move on to appointments. May I have a motion, please?
I move to approve the following appointments for the 2022-2023 school year. Lindsay Lamson, school nurse, Raymond Elementary School, BA 11, for a salary of $49,139.05, prorated from $58,311.
Second.
Thank you. Any public comment? Board discussion?
I just have one question,
Sure.
if I may. Chris, does school nurse fall under support staff?
Nope, school nurse falls under the SEA, Sebago East Shore Educators Association contract, which is within the teachers as well.
Okay. Thank you.
And this is not a new?
No, this is a replacement
Right.
for somebody who left into the start of the school year.
Excellent. Any other board discussion? Okay, we're going to do a voice roll call. All
So,
those,
Kate Bricks,
yes?
Jessica Bridges,
Yes.
Jenny Butler,
Yes.
Jody Carroll,
Yes.
Marge Gavoni,
Yes.
Char Jewell,
Yes.
Kate Levier,
Yes.
Scott McLean.
Yay.
Thank you. Let's move on to item number 12, which is the Maine School Board Association resolutions. May I have a motion, please?
I move to support the proposed MSBA Resolution 2A-2H, Administration of Medication.
Second.
Thank you. Public comment? Board discussion?
Can we get some background on each one of these items, other than what was presented in our board packet? Because I thought it was going to be in my packet.
Here? Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple of comments just from Steve Bailey. There's not a lot of detail in them, but I'm happy to provide what was discussed. We did have a gathering of the delegates on Monday night, and then Steve did send me a little summary that he put together for another board on any clarifications as far as that goes. For this particular one, he dubbed it, quote, a cleanup amendment. And the reason that they did this was to ensure that the restrictions would, there's no restrictions put in place that wouldn't limit the administration of medication. So a few things that came in this year with Narcan, EpiPens, thinking about that teachers and staff being able to apply sunscreen. So it's really just cleaning up the language so that there's no restriction to be able to administer in this particular revision.
Any other
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
comment from the board? Seeing none? Mr. Howell?
Kate Bricks,
Yes?
Jessica Bridges,
Yes.
Jenny Butler,
Yes.
Jody Carroll,
Yes.
Marge Gavoni,
Yes.
Char Jewell,
Yes.
Kate Levier,
Yes.
Scott McLean.
Yay.
Number 2.
I move to support the proposed MSBA Resolution 2A-3D, State Assessments.
Second.
Public comment? Board discussion? Jody?
So for state assessments, you can see a simple strikeout on MEA. They did this because it's no longer the state assessment title. So they wanted to create language that would make it flexible if it changed in the future in terms of the name for the types of assessments. So a more generic change. And they added, you'll note, the social studies and civics. Putting that in again to be assessed within the context of what they're saying is what is inspected is expected. And so they're hoping for a greater emphasis on this area of learning results. So excluding it just doesn't allow us to gain any feedback, essentially. So that's the the rationale for that. And the comment, for whatever it's worth, is to support the enhancement and continuation of democracy. Additional emphasis, you'll note in the last line, the last sentence is really the key thing in terms of the addition, is thinking about the adjectives of the relevant, timely feedback, and not to consume too much time otherwise available for instruction. So just some practical goalposts around what's expected, or what they would recommend if there was any changes to state assessments in the future.
Everybody set? Okay.
Kate Bricks,
Yes?
Jessica Bridges,
Yes.
Jenny Butler,
Yes.
Jody Carroll,
Yes.
Marge Gavoni,
Yes.
Char Jewel,
Yes.
Kate Levier,
Yes.
Scott McLean.
Yay.
Thank you. Number 3.
I move to support the proposed MSBA Resolution 2A 4M legislative mandates.
Second.
Public comment? Jody?
So legislative mandates, there's a lot of public information on unfunded mandates. So this legislative mandates notes its decisions concerning education that should be made by the local school board whenever possible. So MSBA is urging legislature not to interfere with this decision-making responsibility. They're changing the word mandated to requiring, so it's a small change, but essentially what they've added here is educational programs and unfunded mandates beyond those required to maintain the standards, equal rights and opportunities. And essentially they just wanted unfunded mandates in there because their experience is that there's a lot that slips through, and without that consideration, it didn't have to look very hard, just personally doing some research with these before we had the delegate meeting, that there's a lot of concern about legislative mandates for unfunded projects. Yeah.
Mr. Howe?
Kate Bricks,
Yes?
Jessica Bridges,
Yes.
Jenny Butler,
Yes.
Jody Carroll,
Yes.
Marge Gavoni,
Yes.
Char Jewel,
Yes.
Kate Levier,
Yes.
Scott McLean.
Yay.
Thank you. Number 4.
I move to support the proposed MSBA Resolution 3B1B, scheduling of career and technical education programs, CTEs.
Second.
Public comment? Jody?
So under this one, alternative certification, they wanted it to be rewritten for clarity, essentially. So that was the purpose in making a change here. They're noting there'll be a new proposal seen at the delegate assembly this weekend with the same meaning of the resolution. So I'll just note a couple things that they've got in here. They've replaced secondary with CTE programs, added guardians on the backside of parents. And they did delete allow more flexibility in the scheduling of CTE courses, and they just didn't think that that was the responsibility of the legislature, so there's a removal there. And adding regions, so basically you'll see instead of limiting it to units served by career and technical centers, they wanted to expand that for regions as well. So greater physical location.
Perfect.
Yep.
All set? Okay.
Kate Bricks,
Yes?
Jess Bridges,
Yes.
Jenny Butler,
Yes.
Jody Carroll,
Yep.
Marge Gavoni,
Yes.
Char Jewel,
Yes.
Kate Levier,
Yes.
Scott McLean.
Yay.
Thank you. Number 5.
I move to support the proposed MSBA Resolution 3B6D, alternative certification.
Second.
Public comment? Jody?
Same thing with this one, just a clarity in language. They've added, so I'll just read through a few additions. Maine School Boards Association recognizes changes inherent in the restructuring of schools. So they're adding in the filling of positions where there may be a shortage of candidates. So they just felt that was really important because of the way it was written before, didn't address that there is a shortage of candidates. And that may require professional staff to possess or develop skills often found in other employment sectors. So they're pledging their support for the continuation of the effort, not to participate in the collaboration of it, but for the continuing effort to study and initiate legislation that will create appropriate alternative routes to certification for teachers and administrators. So they've added a few key things there, which they felt was important given the nature of the shortage of candidates for different positions.
Thank you. Mr. Howe?
Kate Bricks,
Yes?
Jess Bridges,
Yes.
Jenny Butler,
Yes.
Jody Carroll,
Yes.
Marge Gavoni,
Yes.
Char Jewel,
Yes.
Kate Levier,
Yes.
Scott McLean.
Yay.
Number 6, please.
Excuse me, okay. I move to support the proposed MSBA Resolution 4.7, teacher preparation programs.
Second.
Public comment? Jody?
So teacher prep programs, essentially, well, there was a number of changes here. So let me read what Steve's notes are. There's a few additions. So there's some clarification and updating. There's some current language in the first paragraph. They're added a section supporting teacher training and preparation regarding the identification of students with behavioral health and academic issues, and expanded the collaborative. So let me just pop through those. So MSBA recommends convening. They're replacing language of creation, a special commission. So they're recommending collaborative, the word collaborative there instead of convening and creating. So they're saying they would like to support a recommended collaborative to examine the current state of approved teacher preparation programs to determine if they're appropriately preparing teachers, and they're adding in through best practices to help all students achieve the standards within the main system of learning results. So again, just really clarifying the language. They've removed some of the language of teachers being trained in best practices that are aligned with the common core standards and redundancy of language. They've added a support, they've added this next session to support teacher training and prep. Additionally, MSBA recommends that approved teacher prep programs include best practice training to help teachers assist in the identification of students who may have mental health, behavioral, or academic issues. So that's the second piece. So that first one was collaborative, and then they've added this piece to support teacher training and prep, and identifying students who may have these mental health, behavioral, and academic issues. And then further into the last piece, again, just some language replacing. MSBA believes that such a collaborative should include membership from the State Board of Education. They've added the Maine Department of Education in here to expand that collaborative. The MSBA, Maine School Superintendents Association, Maine Principals Association, et cetera, and it reads on. And then it adds also and Maine School Counselors Association. So it's adding collaborative language, it's adding support for teacher training and prep to identify students who may have mental health and behavioral academic issues, and then adding Maine Department of Education and the Maine School Counselors Association as additions.
Thank you. Public comment?
Yeah.
Or discussion? We already did public comment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mr. Howell?
Kate Bricks,
Yes.
Jessica Bridges,
Yes.
Jenny Butler,
Yes.
Jody Carroll,
Yes.
Marge Gavoni,
Yes.
Char Jewell,
Yes.
Kate Levier,
Yes.
Scott McLean.
Yay.
Before you go, Jody, I need some clarification because
Yep.
number 7 is the same as number 6.
It
And
should be
I
D.
also,
Yep.
Should be
In-
the school board public
It's-
comment.
It's the new,
I understand, but I have a couple other questions. There's the school board meeting public comment period. Are we also, as far as you're aware of, voting on individuals' disability education?
I received the same documentation you did, so yes, I would say. Now, I can only comment that Steve, and I'm happy to,
Did he comment on those?
he did not comment on those.
On any new ones?
On any of the new ones, there were questions, and he did clarify the new ones in our delegate meeting. So I'm happy to provide any clarification that we might have on these.
I guess my question is, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that are new.
Yep.
And you will be voting on our behalf so we need motions for all of those.
I don't know if we need motions. I can only say that they were discussed during the meeting, and I'm sorry, I don't have enough, I'm not sure. But these were presented to us to discuss tonight. When I spoke to Steve Bailey today, I said, we're having a meeting tonight. Can you send me any clarification language that you have that would support our meeting tonight to vote on the resolutions for this weekend? And he sent me what we've just gone through.
I'm going to make a leap here that when you go into the delegate assembly, any of these new ones, you need a yay or nay that you're going to be voting on it, and that we will need motions this evening so that you have direction.
Okay.
So I'm going to turn it over to our illustrious parliamentarian to deal with this.
okay, I move that we delete the present number 7 because it is a duplication of 6.
Second.
Oh, that's me, isn't it?
Oh, am I supposed to second?
No, I'm
Oh.
supposed to
seconded.
say,
Oh, okay.
no, I'm supposed to say, now we need to vote.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, I was caught off guard
Did
too.
I say it wrong?
No, you did fine, I just have to say.
So
we
this
need
is
to
a
vote.
vote on changing number 7.
Yes.
Kate Bricks,
Yes.
Jessica Bridges,
Yes.
Jenny Butler,
Yes.
Jody Carroll,
Yes.
Marge Gavoni,
Yes.
Char Jewel,
Yes.
Kate Levier,
Yes.
Scott McLean.
Yes.
Okay, I would also like to make a motion, and I will do them we'll do them one at a time so we don't get lost. That we vote on the new proposed 2022 items that will be up. And the first one will be school board meeting public comment period, as I have written.
Second.
Thank you. Public comment? Jody, you can inform us.
Sure. The only reason for this one is just to clarify language in the statute. It's noted here. Sorry, so I'll provide a brief summary. So there's 2 lines in the statute that address this. One of them is related to school board meeting public comment period, and the other one is titled Communication with School Employees and the Public. The only reason for this is they want to clarify what the word public is defined to be, because in the 2 lines, they seem to be defined differently. And so they're just trying to tighten this up a little bit. So they would lean toward, I'll read through 20 from the legislature that reads, a school board shall provide the opportunity for the public to comment on school and education matters at a school board meeting. Nothing in this subsection restricts the school board from establishing reasonable standards for the public comment period, including time limits and conduct standards. And in number 21, the school board shall regularly communicate with school employees in the school board's school administrative unit and members of the public who reside within the boundaries of the school administrative unit. So with that having been said, what they're looking to do is add to the bottom. So if we look at the language, I'll read through. I've already read the beginning of it for school board public comment period up until the end of time limits and conduct standards. Let me just follow the spot here. Okay, so they're looking to add public is defined as A, residents, taxpayers of the communities served by the school unit, B, immediate families of enrolled students, or C, employees of the school unit. So their rationale, you want me to?
Yeah,
No, go ahead. I have a comment after.
Oh, okay. So their rationale reads that there are 2 different lines in the legislation that define public separately, and this is their comment. MSBA thinks that greater latitude should be provided in addition to residents, so have expanded the definition. However, MSBA is proposing that the shall in the statement provide the opportunity for the public as defined below to comment on school and education matters should be limited to the 3 stated categories. So all it's doing is in line 20 where it says school board meeting public comment period, right now it just says public. It doesn't say anything else. They're suggesting to add A, residents, taxpayers of the communities served by the school unit, B, immediate families of enrolled students, and C, employees of the school unit to the definition. They want to lean toward 21 that talks about public who reside within the boundaries, and that's how they're defining public who lives within the boundaries, by
So-
establishing those 3 areas.
So to clarify, if you don't live in Raymond or Wyndham, then you're not afforded public comment. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, it says this is not to say an invitation could not be offered to members of the public who may be of a different category. So they just are defining who those people are as a matter of school board meeting public comment period in the legislature. They want it to be more specific instead of just saying residents. And so they're trying to streamline the 2 of those together. And not to say that you couldn't invite whoever you wanted to, but it suggested that it reads those three.
So it would be the
specific
prerogative
categories.
of the chair to accept comment from those
outside
of those
correct,
categories.
because there's an ambiguity as to what the term public means between those two lines.
Right.
And so they're trying to clarify.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Marge, you were first.
I don't agree. I don't agree that with their definition of public. I think, if I remember correctly, we were also at a webinar where basically it's illegal to do that. And why would we not want to hear from anybody who had an interest in what was going on here? Changing, defining that, and I know that they've put that little caveat in there that you can invite other people, but that means you have to remember at every meeting to say, oh, by the way, if you don't live here, if you want to come up and speak, you can, or is it a mother may I don't know. It doesn't sound right. I think if people have something to say, I think we've always made it that, we'll listen. I mean, we don't go back, it's not a back and forth necessarily, but I think anybody should have a right to come up and speak their mind if they have a question, a thought, or something they want to share. That's my...
I attended the Zoom meeting for our region for school board members back in September when these were discussed. And one thing that I want to emphasize is that it wasn't just residents and taxpayers, it was immediate family, because there are many families that live in two different towns and a student may attend and live with one parent, but the other parent certainly is part of that. So that was definitely part of that too. As part of the meeting that I attended, the attorney has said that it's okay. This is okay to limit. And it is truly for those that are vested in that community and the school district. Just a little clarification about how that worked in the meeting that I attended.
I just want to note that in 21 right now, it's already defined.
Exactly.
Public is already defined as
Yeah.
those who reside within the boundaries.
No,
So
I
this is
understand
just
that.
creating more granularity to what's already legislated.
So they're trying to make those match up, is what
Yes.
that's saying.
It's just aligning 20 and 21 because the definition of public seemed to be different in those two lines.
I'm not supportive of the change. I think it would be a potential, not specifically to our board, but to any board, that, if the board chair decided not to hear from someone that came to speak, like a professional, someone that's a subject matter expert, then they wouldn't have the legal right to speak. And I would be really disappointed if that happened. So I would not be supportive of these changes.
Okay.
Well, I have a clarifying question for you, Jody, that I think you just said, but I feel like I need to hear again. Currently, it already says members of the public.
Yeah, so 21 reads communication
is-
with school employees and the public.
This is actually almost looking to expand it.
It is. So it reads, the school board
Thank you.
shall regularly communicate with school employees in the school board's school administrative unit and members of the public who reside within the boundaries of the school administrative unit.
And that's already in there right now.
Already there.
Okay.
They only are trying to help school boards by aligning the definition of public between the line item 20, which states school board public meeting comment period, and the one that I just referenced. It's not adding anything else. It's, I guess the best way that I'm trying to say is it's providing granularity to what the public is, because it's defined as those that reside within. There was some discussion about it in the meeting I attended as well, about, what's the reason for it? Do we need to define it? What is this about?
I mean, I understand that it's defined. I mean, I get that. I know they're just putting it all in line or whatever. I guess what I'm saying is basically, I never knew it said that to begin with.
Right, yeah.
And that should not, and I don't think, and if it's anything, it's kind of like, why was that even not consider being taken out, because we did sit with legal. We were at a webinar, and they said it is not legal. You cannot legally, if I remember correctly, you
Under
cannot.
current statute.
Right, you cannot.
Current statute does not define
Which is
it.
weird.
It only defines it for communication.
Yeah.
It doesn't define it for public comment. And just a reminder for the board that public comment as a requirement at board meetings is a fairly new requirement, that it happened at every board meeting. It was, 1819, I think, was when it was passed in legislation, maybe even, 1819, somewhere in there, that it required at every meeting.
We just didn't realize it because we always did it.
I'm just thinking from where I'm sitting, I didn't know this,
I didn't either.
and I have never limited public comment
Right.
based on that criteria. And if I understand it correctly, it would be up to the chair, whoever is in this seat, to allow someone who does not meet that criteria to speak, correct? I just need,
So 20 doesn't define it in any way.
well, that's wonderful.
It just says public. And so this would then provide those 3 categories in public comment. It's currently in communication with school employees with the public. It's not in
Yes,
public
it does
comment.
It does let you do it.
This is not to say that an invitation could not be offered to members of the public who may be of a different category.
So this is how it's written right now. If you could see the two against each other, there's no granularity in public comment and how public is defined, but there is in 20 that talks about communicating with the public.
Well, doesn't statute, isn't that the law of the land?
So right now it's undefined.
It's undefined, so 20 is undefined, and they're saying we're proposing to add those 3 categories to this one that has no definition of public comment when this one does.
Definition of the public, so trying to make them
Correct.
the same,
Correct.
so the communication pieces match.
One has to do with public comment in the meetings, one has to do with communication with school employees and the public. And they're looking to align the definition, but the implication is that you would limit it to those 3 categories. Not to say that, that an invitation could not be offered to others who may be in a different category.
So from a practical standpoint, I'm sorry to slice and dice, but public participation is important, and I want to make sure I understand and get it right. Currently, when I give my little monologue, I don't specify that you must reside in Wyndham and Raymond.
Right. You just ask them to tell what they're from.
I just ask the town that you reside in. Okay. Anybody?
I just want to make sure that this is not making it feel restrictive.
Right. Right. And it feels restrictive
Yep.
to me.
Where I'm having a hard time right now is that a portion of our tax dollars goes towards state, and a portion of those tax dollars gets funneled down through Maine Department of Education. So I should have the right to go to any school board meeting and be able to speak for my 2 or 3 minutes. It shouldn't matter whether or not I am a resident of that town.
Why?
Well,
What vested interest if you took a trip to Bangor, just picking one out of the hat? I'm playing devil's advocate here.
are some of my tax dollars going to Bangor?
Not really.
Well, how do you, really?
So
Really?
what vested
It doesn't
interest do
matter
you
if
have?
it's a
Yeah,
dime
no,
or
just
if it's
ask it.
$1,000.
Yeah.
I should still be able to have my 2 minutes at the podium.
Or here's a great
I don't
example.
know.
Here's a great example. Is what if there are 2 sports teams playing each other and our young men or women are being extraordinarily wonderful sportsmen and women out there.
Very good.
And someone from another town would like to actually let us know. Right? I think we always just go to
Thank
the
you for
negative
that.
and we
I
don't
appreciate
need to
it.
go to the negative.
Yeah.
There could be something very,
Okay.
very positive that
Sure.
someone might want to sit here and say.
you know what, we want to hear that.
Okay, good, thank you.
I have to say, in my experience, that it is extremely rare. I can think of in the past year, maybe three instances where someone came to the podium and was not a resident. And I remember asking, well, one we knew obviously was not, and then the other two, I think I asked specifically where they resided, and they spoke and said where they resided. I'm not in favor of this. I would err on the side of caution of allowing the public to speak. I don't think it's a huge issue for this district at this time. So I probably wouldn't vote for it.
I generally think it would be a great idea to have the language match, period. So whether we go back and say to the, state board, the other should be less restrictive, or they just need to match, and mention the concerns that we have with that.
I think that's fair.
Yeah?
Right. Everybody think that would be a good feedback for Jody to
Yeah.
share?
Yeah, we're not against them matching them. We just, well, if depending on how our vote goes, we just prefer that they matched with
Yeah.
keeping just the public.
Is it
Right.
possible to put the resolutions on the screen by any chance?
Yes.
I sort of feel like just giving one last look at the way that it's written. I feel
yeah.
like I didn't read it top to bottom, and that may just help. The way that they've written the rationale, I kind of plucked pieces out of it, so maybe that would help just
And I can
quickly
help with
before
the
we
next
move
one
on.
as well.
Pardon?
I can help with the next one as well.
Sure, yeah, that would be great, because there wasn't any dialogue about that one, so I appreciate that.
You're doing a great job.
Yes.
Thanks. I'm so glad I volunteered for this
She's
one.
so happy she signed up, right?
It's a coveted position.
It's all good.
That's
It's a
good.
good experience. No, next year not to volunteer.
Somebody will volunteer you.
Well, you're doing such a great job this year. Why not do it next year?
I hear you, sure.
I mean, what does this mean when it says nothing in the subsection restricts the school board from establishing reasonable standards? I mean, it sounds like we have some control with this, right? For the public comment
And
period?
that's what we have. We have done that.
We just remember we went through this on policy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had this whole discussion already.
You know, the thing about this, though, is that we always have to remember that their rationale, that they'll be signing their name to the rationale, by the way. What's above is what ends up being legal. And the rationale is nice. It reads on a piece of paper here, but it will never come up again.
I think it does explain their position, though, as
Yes,
far
I know
as,
that.
but providing.
But it has no teeth.
I get that. Yeah, I just didn't do a great job, so I feel like the rationale.
No, you did a great job. You did fine.
As far as they've written it out, it's very choppy, though. They pick
Yeah, they did.
sentences from one section to the other, and so I was trying to make it a little bit more clear.
The nothing in the subsection portion is current statute. That's straight out of Title 20.
The thing that I think is important is consistency. So in other words, whoever's the chair can't decide just, ooh, there's somebody I don't recognize, or I know that person's from somewhere else. I'm like, okay, only those who live here. I mean, you start the year, it's a consistent across the board for every meeting. There's no willy-nilly about it, just because somebody might feel like you don't want to hear from somebody. Do we have direction then? Do we think we know how we want to go? Or
Do we want to look at the other one before we come back to look at this one? Just to be
What
able to
other one?
compare where they got the language to define those three groups? Because it came from duties of the school board members and community.
Yeah,
That's a different one.
1001.
I realize that.
You're
But
talking
that's
about
what
you
they're
want the-
trying to match up for language. So
Yeah,
if you can
yeah.
see the language for the one that they got it from, it might be helpful for everyone to be able to Parrot. It should be before that one.
No.
Should be right under,
It's
No,
not on
it's-
this.
where'd it go?
It's not on this document.
not on
It's
there.
not on here. We'd have to open up the legislature to look at the list of school
Sorry
board
about that, I thought it
responsibilities.
was.
No.
Your brain is categorizing the legislature. Is that what's happening over there?
No, I'm just going from
Good
my notes that I
memory.
had before, from what we were told or where that had come from, and I figured they have the reference there, but
They do, but it doesn't.
it doesn't.
That was a
Doesn't
lot
bring it
thicker
up.
paperwork.
Yeah, it was or a Google search.
Well, okay, so part of it is there.
They've chopped out a piece of it, but
Yeah.
really what they've done is just noted that it came from 21. They put it up top, or from that section, and that they would like
Yeah.
2020 to include it. But I think we're agreed. I think
Yep,
we're
I think we're ready for a vote.
Yep.
Let me find it. It's not even on here, right?
No.
All those in favor?
Kate Bricks,
Oh, thank you for that. I almost did this. No.
Jess Bridges,
No.
Jody Carroll,
Nope.
Marge Gavoni,
No.
Char Jewel,
No.
Kate Levier,
No.
Scott McLean.
Nay.
Forgot Jen.
Oh, sorry, Jenny Butler.
No.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to rely on Marge for the next motion.
Okay, now, are we all set with this? Do you have your notes, or do you want me to, I can make the motion that we want to change the motion, do another
Oh,
motion, is what I'm saying.
What was the original motion?
The original motion was as it's written here. School board public comment period. But
My
she can go
impression
back with
is,
the- with-
right,
with our-
she's going
you've
back
got
with
everything, right?
feedback.
It's an
Oh.
app with two bubbles on the bottom that says yes or no, so
Oh.
it should be
Yeah.
very simple for me
Okay,
to sort out.
I will go
like
on to
that.
the next one. Okay. Alrighty, I would like to make a motion that we also add under the new and proposed for 2022, Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA. As written.
May I have a second?
Oh, second.
Thank you. Public?
Rebecca Cole, Wyndham. I just wanted to mention to the board that this is one of the issues that I just recently lobbied with our federal legislators, and that I'm hoping that you'll support the measure. And also to keep in mind that all of these resolutions are for statewide belief statements, and that while it may not impact us locally, there have been districts where certain aspects of all of these resolutions have been extremely problematic, and in case that were ever to occur here, I would want to make sure that we were considering the sphere outside of our own experience.
Okay.
Did you say, I think Chris said.
Yeah. Chris, did you
Yeah,
have a
Chris,
comment?
if you wanted to, I was literally just going to discuss it topically, so
No,
thank
and I
you.
actually can give an example for RSU 14. So when IDEA was passed, federal government was going to commit to reimbursing 40% of local costs for special education costs. Right now, statewide, I think the number that's up there is 14%. For RSU 14, I think it's a shortfall of about $1.5 million that should be reimbursed for special education costs that are picked up by local taxpayers. So we're not even close to the reimbursement rate that was originally promised, and so this is actually getting to that level of funding that was promised in the original legislation.
Board comment.
No, sorry.
Okay, are we ready?
Yep.
Mr. Howell?
Oh, sorry. Kate Bricks,
Yes.
Jessica Bridges,
Yes.
Jenny Butler,
Yes.
Jody Carroll,
Yes.
Marge Gavoni,
Yes.
Char Jewel,
Yes.
Kate Levier,
Yes.
Scott McLean.
Yes.
Next item? Yep.
Okay. I would like a motion that we add to our agenda, the next item of which would be a motion to approve the free reduced lunch qualification.
May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Public? Synopsis?
Yeah, so this one and the next one fall under the similar category. So right now, the MSBA is urging Congress to define poverty level requirements in a different way for the free and reduced lunch program. So they're encouraging or urging Congress to utilize the area median income that's used by HUD, Housing and Urban Development, or the national federal poverty level. So there's two ways to measure the poverty level requirements. They can do this area median income or the national federal poverty level, which is what they're using right now, whichever is greater. So they're urging Congress to consider an alternate way to measure poverty level requirements, is the sum of it. Their rationale includes some information about HUD taking the impact of the median income of an area into consideration when determining eligibility. They give the examples that families could have a very low income in relation to the area median income, but still not qualify for reduced lunch prices. So they're encouraging them to change the way that they evaluate this poverty level requirement by use either one, but whichever one is higher. And that's the sum of this one in and of itself.
Anybody have anything at all? Yep.
I do, only because I get involved with this a lot, only because I do the summer lunch program, which, by the way, we cannot do anymore because of the way they do their figuring. It has a big impact.
It's too bad.
So I totally get this.
Okay,
Would
we're
approve it.
ready to vote?
Kate Briggs?
Yes.
Jess Bridges?
Yes.
Jenny Butler?
Yes.
Jody Carroll?
Yes.
Marge Gavoni?
Yes.
Char Jewel?
Yes.
Kate Levier?
Yes.
Scott McLean?
Yay.
Ms. Gavoni?
Okay. I make a motion to add to our agenda the next item, which would be a motion to approve the funding of the Universal School Meals Act of 2021.
Second, someone?
Second.
Public? Summary.
Sure. So similar rationale, different way to come at it, but essentially it's another way to urge Congress to pass the Universal School Meals Program Act from 2021, which would amend the Child Nutrition Act of '66 and the Richard B. Russell National School Lunch Act to make breakfasts and lunch free for all children without adversely affecting the federal funding formula that may use free and reduced lunch rates. So and Chris can help me on this if I don't nail it, but essentially right now, the way that the federal government collects information on who qualifies, we know very well it's based on applications, and how many of those applications are received isn't congruent with the number of families that probably and potentially qualify for free and reduced. And as a result, that affects the funding that the school systems receive from the federal government. And so this calls to pass the Universal School Meals Program that would not adversely affect federal funding for schools. And the one before would be to collect in a different way. Is that fair? Okay. And then the rationales underneath as to why we should provide free food for students, which I think we can probably skip over as far as why we would want to do that.
I might be going down a rabbit hole, so feel free to stop me here. Should this pass, does that affect snow days and the way meals would not be reimbursed, and if we did a remote snow day at all? Or is this completely separate of that?
This is completely separate from that.
So you can
but
stop me from my rabbit hole then.
It's all tied in the same legislation that would prevent that, but it's still, under this, kids need to be present and physically receive a meal from somebody to be a reimbursable meal.
Good.
I was hopeful that it would get rid of that.
Okay, I think we're ready to vote.
Kate Briggs?
Yes.
Jess Bridges?
Yes.
Jenny Butler?
Yes.
Jody Carroll?
Yes.
Marge Gavoni?
Yes.
Char Jewel?
Yes.
Kate Levier?
Yes.
Scott McLean?
Yay.
Okay, one more. Okay, I move that we add to our agenda a motion to approve Social Security repeal of government pension offset and windfall elimination provisions.
Second.
Public?
Thank you again, Rebecca Cole Wyndham. This, along with the school nutrition pieces, were also issues that I, as NEA director, had to discuss with our federal legislators. If you don't understand the impact of GPO-WEP on the educators of this country who do not enjoy the benefits that they are entitled to, including spousal benefits, then I'm really frustrated. The GPO-WEP impedes our ability to attract, hire, and retain staff. We have folks coming to us as second career educators who do not understand what GPO-WEP is and are shocked when they discover that the Social Security benefits that they accrued during their previous career are now no longer available to them. We have heartbreaking horror stories from folks who end up in a situation where they're not able to access the benefits that their spouses have earned. The list goes on, and I really, really hope that this board will be part of the effort to eliminate that for the remaining 15 states who do not who have to live under the auspices of these provisions. Thank you.
I can attest to that. I was a teacher in our district, well, total for 31 years, and I've had a second career. And yes, I only work part-time, but essentially, even though I've been putting money into Social Security for years, whether it be this current additional teaching through the University of Maine system or the other jobs that I had, I get nothing. Second piece, if my husband goes before I do, pretty much I could get nothing from his Social Security benefits. Nothing. No spousal, nothing. So this was an act from 1983 that was put in, and so pretty much it's been my whole life teaching. We get essentially nothing, even though we put into the system forever. So there you go.
So you're opposed?
You think? Yes, I am very much. I don't want that to happen. I want it repealed. So I want it repealed.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
You're for it.
Yeah.
Okay. Jody?
Just a couple notes, the way that they're presenting it. So they are urging this to be repealed, the windfall elimination provision and the government pension offset to the Social Security Act from 1983 to ensure they take a different tact on it, not necessarily from the perspective of the loss. It is about a 2/3 loss. The government pension is deducted, so it is a significant amount, that a deduction that occurs in people's personal lives. But they are also noting that the quality pool of teacher candidates are available to be hired to meet the needs of the students. So that's obviously a real world example within the classrooms as well. And another piece to consider, recruiting from different sectors is important, and often those valuable skills are not available to different districts because people are subject to this, legislature is the best way to say it.
Perfect.
Yep.
Can I ask a question? And I don't even know if you know the answer to it. Does this affect the trade schools, the vocational schools? I keep thinking, look, a lot of the teachers there, staff, are kind of like retired from the Social Security world. Does this affect that?
If you were previous, can I answer that?
Oh, I'm sorry.
At the rules that you
Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah.
ask him. Somebody.
If you'd like to respond.
These two pieces, the offset and the provision, if you previously paid into Social Security and you are now part of the main public retirement system, you are impacted by this. It doesn't care what building you work in.
To answer your question, though, some of the vocational teachers may stay in Social Security and may not go into state retirement.
It depends on their contract. If they're contracted as whatever their previous vocation was as a private contractor, then that would be a different piece than if they were hired.
I know
under.
that really has nothing to do with kind of what we're doing, but it just brought it up, and I thought of all those people over there that do.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Just have one other thing when she's
Sure. Go ahead.
I'm done.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, so I have a friend who is a teacher in our district who turned 65 a couple years ago but is still teaching. He started collecting his Social Security, and when he officially retires from the district, will lose most of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just as a clarifying question, so as a comparison for anyone that might be watching, so someone that's in a non-public union, let's say at BIW, they have their union pension, but then they also collect Social Security, correct? But because this is the way the law is set up, it only affects people that are in the public pension for the state, correct?
So I can help clarify with that. So as a teacher, I didn't put into Social Security, put into Medicare, yes, but not into Social Security.
Right.
We put in essentially more into Maine State Retirement, so we are collecting that. I would presume, a lot of my friends are retired now from BIW, have been working there, I presume that they put in both to their retirement and also into Social Security.
Yep.
Consequently, they were collecting both.
Right. Right. So, but in the scenario you gave, where you've had part-time jobs over the years, where you've contributed money,
Right.
you're not eligible for any of that.
Very
because-
little, if any.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
even
right.
though I have put in with other jobs.
I just wanted to get
Yeah.
that comparison
Yeah.
for anybody
Good.
in the public that
Yep.
may be watching and.
Yep.
Any other questions on this important
I
topic?
just have one statistic I think might
Sure.
be important to add, just to the gravity I think is really important, is right now congressional research states that 1.9 million people, so the windfall elimination provision affects, and the government pension offset is around 695,000 people. It's just a lot of individuals that are being significantly affected by this.
There are about 14 states that have this provision still,
And we're one of them.
and we're one of them. Yeah.
Okay. Any further? I think we're ready to vote.
Kate Bricks,
Yes.
Jessica Bridges,
Yes.
Jenny Butler,
Yes.
Jody Carroll,
Yes.
Marge Gavoni,
Yes.
Char Jewell,
Yes.
Kate Levier,
Yes.
Scott McLean.
Yay.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes resolutions. Thank you for your patience. Thank you to Jody, who will be representing us.
Forever.
And provided great comments this evening, so I appreciate that. All right, without further ado, let's talk school buses. May I have a motion, please?
I move that the resolution entitled Resolution to Authorize Lease Purchase of 2 New School Buses in the Principal Amount of $234,000 be adopted in form presented to this meeting, and that a copy of said resolution be filed with the minutes of this meeting.
Second.
Municipal leasing consultants were the low responsible bidders.
Second. My apologies.
Very good. Public? Seeing none. Board discussion?
Just one
Yep.
clarifying question. So this was in the budget, I believe, right?
Yeah, it was
So-
in the budget, and the board in the past has voted after the referendum in the spring to purchase buses, but because of where buses now are falling in supply chain, I don't think we're going to see these buses actually till December.
Okay.
But they were previously approved, and it's later this year because of approval. The other thing to mention for the board is that I think our last round of buses, the interest rate was around 1.8%. This came in at 4.1.
Yeah.
Oof.
So we're in a different spot
Yeah.
with interest rates.
Sher's next.
So I know recently it was mentioned in the last month or two that one of the advantages that we have as an RSU for attracting bus drivers is because our equipment is so good. So on the plus side, it's good to spend a little money and have good equipment so we attract and retain bus drivers. But on the devil's advocate side, do we really need these buses? Please explain.
We have buses that meet the requirement for replacement for the state of Maine, which have to have a minimum of 150,000 miles on them to go through the replacement program. I think these are 11s or 12s that will be moving out of the fleet. And the buses that we're replacing with are gasoline buses. They're much more efficient, they are easier to maintain, and they are actually a better long-term product for the district.
Okay, thank you.
And this amount was approved in our budget
Yes,
by
correct.
this board. Okay.
Just to add to that, because, well, we were here anyway, but it was a few years ago, At one point in time, buses were bought as they fell apart because they used to come before us. Some years we needed one bus, some years we needed 3 buses. And it was kind of, because they're very expensive, so it was a burden. So there was basically a study done by the administrators and in the bus garage to look at, could we put these, what would be the best way to get these on a revolving bus? So they used the history of the longevity of the bus when, because we'd go down and you could see like underneath the steps would be rotting out, you know, so it became a safety issue naturally. So that's kind of how it came to be. So there was a lot of work that went into it a few years ago to figure out what is the best way to do it and how many, you know, and still meet the what you follow basically too is, you know, once it gets to a certain mileage, what can you count, you know, and we live up north, so.
The other thing I should mention was just that we always apply for the school bus replacement program, which we will receive subsidy back for these 2 buses. So we put in for 3 buses. I think we had 3 buses approved, but only 2 went through the budget. And so we will pay for this up front, but we will receive subsidy starting next year on these buses. So it's part of the replacement cycle.
May I say one more
You
thing?
may.
I remember when I first discovered the cost of a bus. I will say that the cost of a bus now has risen by $25,000. It was $90,000 when I first joined the board. So
Inflation, don't tell me.
Okay, let's vote.
Kate Bricks,
Yes?
Jessica Bridges,
Yes.
Jenny Butler,
Yes.
Jody Carroll,
Yes.
Marge Gavoni,
Yes.
Char Jewell,
Yes.
Kate Levier,
Yes.
Scott McLean.
yay.
Thank you. Item 14, policies.
I move to approve the second reading of BCAR, Board Member Code of Ethics Regulation.
Second.
Thank you. Public comment or discussion? All those in favor? Mr. Howell?
Kate Bricks,
I was going to raise my hand. Yes?
Jessica Bridges,
Yes.
Jenny Butler,
Yes.
Jody Carroll,
Yes.
Marge Gavoni,
Yes.
Char Jewell,
Yes.
Kate Levier,
Yes.
Scott McLean.
Yay.
Thank you. Item 15, report of the secretary.
I move to approve the minutes of the September 21st, 2022 meeting.
Second.
Public comment or discussion? Yes?
I wasn't at the meeting, but I was reading the minutes and I noticed that there's something missing because it's in capital letters. Under section 7, it says insert details.
That's when I can't keep up, sure.
Let me look at
that. Thank you for that.
Are we in agreement to assume that those will be updated and approved this evening? Or do you want to wait?
I can ask Terry to review the video and put.
What's the topic? I don't know what.
Let me look at where we are.
Oh, it was, where is it? Oh, my fingers aren't working.
Oh, I see it, okay.
It was part of board roundtable. Jody Carroll
Deb's.
congratulates Deb LaBelle for her accomplishments. Insert details.
Okay.
So
200 wins.
She was so captivated by my statement.
My goodness.
Sometimes I use internet. We could leave the period at the end of accomplishments and
It was
leave
her
it at that.
200th career win with.
Okay.
Are we in agreement that we can approve these and
Yes,
they will, a friendly, like, update? Thank you.
Kate Bricks,
Yes.
Jessica Bridges,
Yes.
Jenny Butler,
Yes.
Jody Carroll,
Yes.
Marge Gavoni,
Yes.
Char Jewell,
abstain.
Kate Levier,
Yes.
Scott McLean.
Yay.
Number 2?
I move to approve the minutes of the October 5th, 2022 meeting.
Second.
Public? Board?
Um,
Yes.
I was actually not present
That's true.
for this meeting, but it says that I was present.
You started the meeting.
I started. I didn't finish. I tried.
You were there when the roll call.
I mean, I got my Post-it note up there, so.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, your
they were
Post-it
there.
had a very
You were
key
there.
word that was missing from it in the middle of it. You forgot the word important. Important document. Like the word was literally not on the Post-it. We were like,
So you were there for
You
both
were
roll
there for
calls.
part of it, so, all right, let's vote. I'm over you.
Okay.
Let's go.
Kate Bricks?
Yes.
Jessica Bridges?
Yes.
Jenny Butler?
Yes.
Jody Carroll?
yes.
Marge Gavoni?
Yes.
Char Jewel?
Yes.
Kate Levier?
Yes.
Scott McLean?
Yay.
Thank you. May I have a motion, please?
I move to approve going into executive session to discuss RSU 14 contract negotiations with the RSU 14 Board of Directors pursuant to 1 MRSA subsection 4056D.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Howe?
Kate Bricks?
Yes.
Jessica Bridges?
Yes.
Jenny Butler?
Yes.
Jody Carroll?
Yes.
Marge Gavoni?
Yes.
Char Jewel?
Yes.
Kate Levier?
Yes.
Scott McLean?
Yay.
Thank you. We're in executive session. First and
I
second.
have that, so now we're just, when we're live again, you're making a motion to go.
To discuss superintendent goals. May I have a motion, please?
I move to approve going into executive session to discuss the superintendent's evaluation pursuant to 1 MRSA subsection 4056A and not return to regular meeting.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Howe?
Kate Bricks?
Yes.
Jess Bridges?
Yes.
Jenny Butler?
Yes.
Jody Carroll?
Yes.
Marge Gavoni?
Yes.
Char Jewel?
Yes.
Kate Levier?
Yes.
Scott McLean?
Yay.
Thank you. Thank you, Graham.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Graham. Good night.